Hi, my name is Jess, and I worked on the Pilsen community for the Community Needs Assessment Project. I will attach a PowerPoint with this presentation so you guys can follow along. So just a little bit of demographics. The community is primarily a Mexican culture of mostly women actually, and a lot of the people work in the service industry. The community is very vibrant and very colorful. They have beautiful murals throughout the entire community, so on the walls, in the train station, and even in the restaurants. Um, this community also has a high value in family, and they are very bring a lot of awareness to activities, festivities, problems, and events to discuss the community's needs and problems. They also have a lot of Mexican restaurants, coffee shops, and panaderias, which are bomb. They sell Mexican bread. And there are a lot of churches in this community, primarily Catholic, but a lot of churches overall. Um, One of the sections I worked on was communication and interaction. Pilsen is known as a back of the yard community, which constantly appears in the metropolitan newspaper. For Chicago, that's known as the Chicago Tribune. When they do appear in the news, it's usually for their food industry, the community renovation, the Pilsen Neighborhood Community Council, or unfortunately because of the violence and community downfall that occurs. Some of the community's newspapers include The Gate, the Bridgeport News, which is independently owned, the Extra Bilingual Community, La Raza, and Pilsen Quarterly. For the SWOT analysis, I focus on the health and mental health resources. One of the most prevalent resources in Pilsen is known as the Pilsen Community Academy. They support systems for families, and they provide a lot of information on public libraries. The public library in Pilsen provides computers, homework resources, and even parent resources, which is known as the Parent Power Chicago. And they help with tutoring and homework help, online teaching, mentoring, and they even have music and art programs, as well as other resources. The place that I decided to focus on was known as the Pilsen Wellness Center. They basically provide holistic human services through culturally sensitive education, prevention, treatment, and recovery intervention to support family relationship, facilitate community empowerment, and stimulate economic development. Some of the many services they provide include mental health services, substance abuse services, youth services, education services, DUI services, HIV and AIDS, and they even provide a wellness pantry, counseling programs, housing and residential programs, and psychological rehabilitation services, and even case management. Although this center doesn't really provide medical services, there is a center literally right down the street that provides medical services known as Alivio Medical Center. They provide family medicine, behavioral and mental health services, dentistry, diabetes services, family planning services, OBGYN services, optometry, pediatric services, and they have a pharmacy. With this, Pilsen has many, many strengths, one of which is the fact that they are a very united community. They're really proud of their culture. They're proud of their Mexican culture, and they are very diverse in their culture. You see it in their restaurants, in their stores, and even the way they live their life. The Mexican community is a very tight-knit community. The Hispanic community in general is a very tight-knit community, and they show it well. They know their neighbors, and they live together. They do life together, and that is one of their biggest strengths. They also have a really high value in education. Um, and they are very aware of the fact that they are coming out of a dark place. Their community used to be a lot worse than it is now, and they are getting a lot better. A lot of this has to do with the awareness that has been brought to these issues. With that, we have a lot of threats that occur in this community. Unfortunately, the median education level is less than high school graduation. This community has poor ranking schools, unfortunately, and most of the population lives under the poverty line. One of the biggest threats to this community is gang and gun violence. Every 2 to 3 blocks you see a different gang that basically takes ownership of that block. And you see these gang members come out in their streets and literally shoot other gang members just for the heck of it because they're on their territory. Another really big issue is gentrification. Basically what's happening is that people are coming in and raising the prices for their living spaces as well as their business spaces, and unfortunately the people that have businesses here and live here can't afford these higher prices, so they're forced to be pushed out and leave the community, and with this they take the culture with them. So unfortunately this community is becoming less and less culturally diverse in this. With that, the community is in really great need of safer streets that are free of gun and gang violence. Also, a lot of the community members stated that they would like to see more after-school programs that take care of the children, to take them off the street basically. If children are busy in school, they won't have time to get involved in gangs. They also need a lot of government recognition. This community went through a time where the government wouldn't even plow their streets when it snowed, and that's not okay. And they also need to be freed of the negative aspects of gentrification. Gentrification does bring more businesses to the community, which allows for more jobs, but when it brings the community members out of that community is when it becomes a problem. So to be freed of that aspect. And this all starts in the home. As long as they are unaware of the resources that they have, they're never going to be able to be taken out of this situation. So I feel that the community members need to be made aware of the resources that are in the Pilsen community. Overall, we need to ensure that families and individuals are receiving the proper information and resources for the different services available, and that they know where to go to get help. In order to share the information, you would see in the community a lot of flyers posted on business windows, which is a really good way of sharing information. A lot of people go to these businesses and they see these flyers and they show up to these events, or they want to know more. Also, the newspapers are really good ways of sharing information, as well as the Pilsen Neighborhood Community Council and the Pilsen Alliance. Sending information home with students is also another way to share information, but in my opinion, I believe going door to door and word of mouth are two of the biggest ways to share information, because this is such a united community. A lot of people know each other and they know their neighbors and they want to talk to their neighbors, and therefore they will share with their neighbors. So overall, I've learned a lot of things about the Pilsen community. They take great pride in its culture and where they have come out of. They know that they were in a darker place than they are now, and they take pride in the success that they have had so far. Although they may not have much financially, they have fought for what they have and their stability, and it's beautiful to see. They're also fighting to come out of the gun and gang violence that's there, as well as gentrification and the neglect of the community from the government overall. And in this community has been made beautiful. You see it in the businesses, in the parks, in the recreation centers, the murals, the bodegas. You see it in the people walking down the street. You see it in the little informal businesses. This community is a very strong community. They are fighters, and all they need is a little support and a little help. And yeah, thank you for watching.